The slap echoed through the hallway like a gunshot, lockers rattling as students froze, and in that split second everyone knew something had gone terribly wrong. His hand was still in the air, her books scattered across the floor, and the look in his eyes said he expected her to shrink, to cry, to disappear. Instead, she lifted her chin and met his stare, calm and unafraid, and that was the moment his power began to collapse. Before we go any further, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling us where you, rewatching from your support, helps stories like this reach the people who need to hear them. Now stay with me, because what happened next unfolded fast, and nothing at this school would ever be the same again. Her name was Maya Johnson, a junior who walked the halls like a ghost, not because she lacked presence, but because she chose peace over noise. She wore her hair in a simple twist, kept her head down, and focused on one thing only: getting out. Out of this town, out of this school, out of a life where being underestimated had become a daily routine. Teachers respected her. A few friends adored her. Most students barely noticed her. And that was exactly how she liked it. Until that Tuesday afternoon, when the cafeteria buzzed louder than usual, and Marcus Reed decided he needed an audience. Marcus was a senior, 6 feet of confidence, fed by fear, star linebacker, popular, untouchable. Or so everyone thought. He thrived on attention, on laughter that followed him down the halls, on the way people moved aside when he walked past. And that day, when Maya accidentally brushed his shoulder while trying to get to her table, he saw an opportunity. A spoon Arund, blocking her path, his voice cutting through the noise. "Watch where you're going," he said, loud enough for heads to turn. Maya paused, whispered a quick apology, and tried to step around him. That should have been the end of it, but bullies don't stop when they're satisfied. They stop when they re-challenge. Marcus laughed, a cruel sound, and reached out, grabbing her wrist. "I'm talking to you," he said, squeezing just hard enough to hurt. The room went quiet. Maya felt every eye on her, felt the old familiar pressure to stay small. For a heartbeat, she considered pulling away, letting it go walking back into invisibility. But something inside her snapped, not in anger, but in resolve. She looked down at his hand on her skin, then back up at his face. "Let go," she said, steady and low. He didn't. He tightened his grip and shoved her shoulder, and that's when his hand came down, sharp and humiliating, the sound ringing out like a challenge to the entire room. Gasps followed, phones came up, someone laughed nervously, a teacher stood frozen near the doors. Marcus smirked, expecting tears, maybe a scream. Instead, Maya set her jaw and moved. 5 seconds. That's all it took. She twisted her wrist in a practiced motion, stepping inside his reach, using his weight against him. Marcus stumbled, surprised, and before he could recover, she swept his leg, sending him crashing onto the cafeteria floor. The room erupted. Trays clattered, chairs scraped. Maya dropped to one knee beside him, her voice calm as ice. "I said let go." She applied pressure, not enough to break anything, but enough to make a point he would never forget. Marcus's bravado drained instantly. "Stop," he hissed, panic creeping into his voice. He tried to pull free, but the more he struggled, the worse it got. "Please," he added, louder now, his face red, eyes wide, begged. The words spread through the room like wildfire. The bully was begging. Maya held for one more breath, then released him and stood, backing away slowly. "Don't touch me again," she said. "Not a threat. A promise." Security rushed in. Teachers shouted. Students screamed over one another, replaying the moment from every angle. Marcus was helped up, shaken, his pride shattered on the cafeteria tiles. Maya picked up her books with trembling hands, her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear. She expected to be punished, suspended, blamed. That's how these stories usually end. But as the principal arrived, face pale, and listened to the witnesses, something shifted. Video after video showed the same thing. The grab, the shove, the slap, and then the consequence. In the office later, Maya sat straight-backed, answering questions honestly. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize for defending herself. When asked where she learned to do that, she paused. "My uncle taught me," she said. "He said some people only understand boundaries when you enforce them." Across the hall, Marcus sat with his head in his hands. Parents yelling on the phone, his future unraveling in real time. Scholarships were mentioned, charges were whispered. For the first time, the rules applied to him. Word spread fast. By the end of the day, Maya wasn't invisible anymore. Students nodded as she passed. Some smiled. A few thanked her quietly, eyes shining with something like hope. She felt exposed, unsure, but also lighter, like a weight she'd carried for years had finally been set down. That night, at home, she told her mother everything. There was fear in her mother's eyes. Yes, but also pride. "You protected yourself," she said softly. "Never be ashamed of that." The school announced consequences. The next morning, Marcus was suspended pending investigation, mandatory counseling, removal from the team. The message was clear, even if it had taken far too long to say it out loud. Maya walked the halls differently, now arrogant, not loud, just grounded. When she sat in class, she focused on her work, on her future, on the quiet strength that had always been there, waiting for permission to stand up. Weeks later, Marcus passed her in the hallway, eyes downcast. He didn't speak. Neither did she. There was nothing left to say. The power he once wielded had evaporated, replaced by a lesson learned the hard way. And Maya. She kept moving forward, college acceptance letters on the way, her story traveling far beyond the walls of that school. Because this wasn't just about a bully losing control. It was about a young woman refusing to be defined by someone else's cruelty. It was about 5 seconds that reminded everyone watching that silence is not weakness, that strength doesn't always announce itself, and that when lines are crossed, consequences follow. Somewhere out there, someone needed to see this, to hear it, to know that standing up for yourself can change everything. And if you're that person, remember this moment. Remember her calm. Remember his regret. And never underestimate the quiet ones, because they've been preparing all along.